We live in a world ruled by tyranny, where knowledge is suppressed and ignorance is glorified. A world where propaganda and misinformation travel the airways at the speed of lies. But in the midst of the violence and chaos, a great awakening is taking place. And as the media empires continue to collapse, a new network is forming. A network of truth, a network of courage, a network of awareness. Peace and greetings. You are now tuned into the Network of Awareness podcast radio station, where we examine current events, politics, health, finance, and topics of cultural relevance in America and throughout the world, while bringing you insightful interviews with guests that will both educate and inspire you. And now, your host of the Network of Awareness podcast radio station, ORRA the Informationalist.
Happening to me in plain English without the mumbo jumbo.
My aura is a network full of awareness and gifts like ORRA, the informationalist.
Yes, peace and greetings, brothers and sisters, to all my peoples from around the world. Shout outs to all my network of Awareans. You're now tuned in to a live broadcast of the Network of Awareness. And I am your host, owner, and founder of the Network of Awareness, or the Informationalist. And today's episode is season 5, which is Great Understandings. And today is episode 77, baby. And we got a great guest for today's show for episode 77. His name is Michael Magrutsche. And he is an Austrian, native Austrian that now lives in California. All right. And brothers and sisters, this brother is he's got a lot of knowledge. And I'm gonna tell you a little bit about him before we bring him on the show. Now, today's show, the title of it, which he's going to discuss a lot, and it's a title that he inspired for me to bring out, and he brought it out. It's called Awareness Trumps Everything. Okay, so let me tell you a little bit about Michael. And as far as his biography, it's all in the description page. So if you're watching this on YouTube, Facebook, or if you're listening to this on Spreaker Live, all of that information is in there, and it'll be in there for anybody who downloads the show after the broadcast is over. Now, let's talk a little bit about what he does and who he is, besides what's on the biography. Awareness trumps everything. This is in Michael's words. Once aware, change happens automatically. I am a creativity awareness educator, unveiling and promoting our limitless human potential through awareness and wisdom of humanity that's found in art creativity. Contrarily to a short-time knowledge of limited man-made systems like technology, economy, and businesses that drive us actually away from our human experience. I point to our unstopped human abilities like our truth compass of nature and our inherent tools of creativity and healthy discourse, adaptability. I am a passionate creativity awareness researcher that looks for true values of humanity outside of any man-made system. Humans are in a consciousness crisis, thus we need something very different right now. I believe in outside the box problem solving to experience our human experience inclusive with nature. And when we become more conscious, the change will happen automatically. Being the best you that you can be for yourself, not for the system, is the key that all will flourish. Understand what it means to be human. The earth and nature never need to be saved, but we have to become conscious. Otherwise, we extinguish our humanity again. Be a steward of your natural habitat. Avoid impacting nature so that it is impossible for our species to survive. We need to understand humans and our habitat, nature, and the priority. After our man-made systems adequately to offer us safety and security, the functions that we were correlated with family, tribe, and systems from the beginning. Always keep raising our human potential. Therein lies heaven on earth. And I couldn't have said it better myself. Those are straight from the words from Michael Magrutsche. And let's bring them on to the show. All right, brothers and sisters, welcome to the Network of Awareness, live broadcast here on Faith Over Fear Friday. So let's get this show started right. Let's get it started quickly, shall we?
You are now tuned in to the Network of Awareness. ORRA, the informationalist.
Let's go. All right. Welcome to the show, Brother Michael. How you doing today? And let me unmute you here. You got to unmute yourself. I forgot I told you to mute yourself.
Okay.
All
Here we
right.
go.
To the show, brother. How you doing?
Thank you. I think our interview is done. You have said it all.
Those are your words.
Short. I was short. In out, nobody gets hurt, right?
Yeah. I wanted to make sure that the listeners, I put your biography in there, and I wanted to read that because I really want them to get an understanding of what they're about to experience right now. Now, let me let the listeners know. Michael and I did a show a couple of days ago. All right. And it was a pre-recorded episode. And it was kind of raining here. It wasn't that bad. It was raining where he's at. You're in Los Angeles, I believe.
Yeah.
Right. He was in Los Angeles. So we're doing this broadcast. And brothers and sisters, you know how the demonic principalities, the evil forces always like to interrupt when there is some type of positive stream happening. They always want to try to interject it, especially over the airwaves. Yeah. So we start getting into this conversation, and it starts getting very intense in what we're discussing as far as when it comes to creativity, awareness, spirituality, purpose, all these wonderful things, these benevolent things that this malevolent force didn't want nobody to hear. And it was on a pre-record. And all of a sudden, I started having all of these wacky things happening with my system that's never happened before. Now, I've had some interruptions that you've heard about with Brother Akarai when we talked about the Prince of the Power of the Air, when we were discussing Satan's devices and all of that, and all the little demonic stuff that was happening on my system with these voices that came in. But here we go again. Something comes in, and it starts to disrupt. My system goes haywire. He can't hear me. I can't hear him. The system goes down, glitches back. My cell phone winds up taking the Wi-Fi over. It was a big mess. So I said, you know what, Michael, let's go live, and let's make sure that we get to do this without no interruptions. And giving all praises to the Most High, there's not going to be any interruptions for this live broadcast. So with that being said, Michael, let's talk about let's just talk about briefly that you were born in Austria, grew up in Austria, and can you let the listeners know what your experience is like growing up in Austria and how different it is from American culture?
Yeah, so I was a sick child, and I went to school at 7. And 40 years ago, they said just, okay, oh, you're dyslexic. But I was not only dyslexic, I had dysgraphia too, which is a hand-eye coordination problem. So it's not much different because and the reason, I experienced all this and it sounded, oh my God, this guy knows really a lot. I know nothing. I want to make that perfectly clear. I have 0 education. I'm completely self-taught. And I kind of the example when you don't have education that you can actually really think out of the box. I was forced to think out of the box. It's not like, oh, I'm all that. I'm thinking out of the box. I was forced to be out of the box. I was forced to be out of a system. And I'm not against system at all. I want to say that also clearly. I'm saying humans have to be, right now, humans make systems work, but systems are here to serve humans because no system has created humans or nature. So the highest priority on this planet is the planet, nature, and humans. Yeah, and all the living beings, obviously. So, and I went to school and I couldn't handle it. I had to repeat classes. I literally was like, I want to do this, and you slam the door in front of me. And when you're DNA driven, that you belong, that you're part of the world, that you're part of society. That's when you have adolescent groups, the jocks, the disco guys or whatever. And you want to belong and you can't. And I think the worst thing is, which the system is not clear on, when you are 10 years old, 15 years old, and you have to repeat a class and you are with younger people. And so two things you have with, so I really was forced to find myself because I couldn't belong. I couldn't get in. And when you are a foot taller than the people you were in school with, not because you're a tall person, but because you're much older. And I came already a year late. So I was 3 to 4 years older than people, not understanding, not fitting in. And I'm not a victim or anything. I was never bullied. All these system things, I was never bullied. It is the self-shame that you put yourself on. Because the system didn't say anything. Hey, those are them are the rules, right? Or and you just, hey, tough shit. Stay. And I really had to face myself and really have to find myself. And one of these wonderful magic tools and inherent superpowers that we have is creativity. So I started to create art. And I was so into my moment all the time that I wasn't even aware. I try to survive minute by minute and just to be part of the human experience. And at about 30, I had to do a new resume, and I found, oh my God, I don't need a system to tell me that I'm an artist. I survived because of art. And it made me feel okay, which people can relate with that. When you're an adolescent and you see a movie or hear a song, all of a sudden you feel like, wow, that's me. The world isn't so horrible like it is. And we all experience that. And that's why I think art is the number one superpower. Without art, a lot of people would have killed themselves, a lot of young people, especially.
Now, what do you feel about art that you feel like a lot of people don't understand about art and creativity as a whole?
Okay,
throughout the world.
so I think creativity is number one, because look at everything we created: New York, Singapore, Apple, Nike, all these companies, all the scientific advances, everything. We created it all. And in that creation, the highest form of creation is art, because you're not having a purpose. You're not saying, okay, I'm creating a new shoe, I'm creating a new iPhone, I'm creating a new whatever. You have no context. You just stand in front of a canvas or listen, be in silence, and create a song, create a painting. And what happened with you then, you really interconnecting, because it has no purpose. A purpose is always a little distraction, but you have no purpose. You want to just create a beautiful painting or a beautiful song. You literally faced with your non-physical. So not, that's where you sleep. You're in a non-physical. You're just interacting with, some people say higher self or whatever. It's the self that isn't physical, and you start interacting with that, and you say, oh, great canvas, blank, I'm gonna do yellow, and then, oh my God, I'm gonna do red, and I'm gonna do green, and then I'm gonna just think, and then it becomes so long that it starts to get its own power. And this is what we have to be aware of. You can't put, let's say I have purple, I want to put purple in that painting, and it can't be done. Or I have a song and I want to put that instrument in or that note, and it won't work. It won't be harmonious. So our natural strive to be harmonious and balanced is key, because nature is perfect. There's no excess, there's nothing. It just always balances and harmonizes. It's not like, okay, there's 200 giraffes too many, we got to kill them. We don't. And the lion in the savannah doesn't kill all the gazelles so that he has tomorrow food. He kills one, and then an hour later, a gazelle is grazing that next to him, because it knows that he's full. So there is no scarcity, there's no fear, and there's no negativity, other than, there's fear when they're in threat. When you get hit by a bus almost, that is a relevant fear. But it is not a fear when you think, oh my God, I can't pay my rent tomorrow. I can't, that is a fear that is artificially created by systems.
Wow.
And so that's, a justifiable fear is you feel sick and you think you die. Your kid gets sick, die. That's a justifiable fear. But it's not a justifiable fear anything a system generates. Like the war. The war is there's no war there's no war in nature. It's artificial, it's created.
Very true. Very true. I like the analogy you used with the lion too, where
Yeah.
the gazelle grazes a lion because the lion's already killed and ate. It's full.
Yeah.
It's not looking to do it right now at that moment. So
Yeah.
there's harmony at that moment until, it has to hunt again. And let's talk about this this creativity, because creativity, as you said earlier, like without creativity or without art, a lot of people would kill themselves. There wouldn't be nothing here to look forward to. We are created in the image of the great creator. So we're here as an expression of that creation to create more, as the expression of that, being a vessel for that purpose alone. And us being the spiritual being, having the physical experience is the process of creating and learning and growing within that learning and that creation that we continue to create within, right? Now, with all that being said, why does art and creativity always bring us closer to the understanding of humanity?
Okay. 8 billion people, 8 billion fingerprints, 16 billion irises, and the DNA that is different. What art does, it brings us to the blueprint of what is possible. Because before an artist does not do something crazy, people think it's not possible. And then there's a movie and it's possible and say, oh my God, and it shows you, I'll give you a simple example. In a system, you have the CEO, you have the CFO, the whole C level, and they are in their own level, in their own realm. They are not in touch with the worker on the conveyor belt, with the manager that has to, work on that with those people. He doesn't know anything about the interaction. He gets reports, but he has no interaction in the now. Now let's move over. How is an orchestra working? You have the best director, conductor, the best conductor. You have the first violinist. But if the oboe player or the flute player doesn't do his job, the whole performance, everybody goes down. The conductor, the violinist, everybody. So it has to be forced. So that's what I'm saying. It gives us the blueprint how humans can function. Even though there's different pay levels in a symphony, it has to, the drive, the human drive is inclusive. If this doesn't, it doesn't matter if race, gender, whatever. In order to create a symphony, everybody has to be on the same level in space-time and has to create. Now, tell me where that is in any form of business. It is pushed aside for other values, not the human experience. It's created for profit. And I'm not against profit at all. I'm just saying the system of financial principles is faulty because it always creates disharmony. It always creates imbalance. And even though they are paid in the symphony, their purpose is we have to work as a whole. And we have to be harmonious, because if the light guy, if the lighting guy doesn't work in the symphony, the whole thing crashes. You have two leads in an opera. If the background doesn't work, the curtain doesn't open, it's broken, it's done. And that's how we should approach systems, that they're human relevant and not humans adapting to systems to be system relevant. And that's the core of it, because without humans, we don't need systems. Yeah.
Right. And as you said before, you're not against systems, neither am I.
Yeah.
Systems do serve a purpose,
Yeah.
especially when it's a system that is serving humanity well, not a system that's serving a very small subgroup to benefit from, which that's what you see in government and you see in the world. You see a few oligarchs, you see a lot of these multi-conglomerate companies that own everything. Literally, there's like 7 companies that own the whole world.
But they have to. They have to, because they're based on financial principle. And if you don't grow, tomorrow in the quarter, even if you don't grow nature has good harvesters and bad harvesters, and you have to be, saving money, and you have to be economically, adapt. That not every harvest is good. Not every year it needs to be maximum profits, and next quarter again more. And that's why I'm saying the financial principles are faulty. Who is the god of financial principles? We are. We invented that system. We are the gods of all systems, man-made systems. So, but you're just not aware. Your network awareness is exactly what the world needs, because we're not aware. We're not aware that the system leaders are disturbed from systems. They believe the hype, and they do everything to make more money. They have no fulfillment or very little, and they're making more, and they don't even know what it is to be human. Because when you can waste 200,000 humans in the water right now, you don't know the value of humanity. You don't know the value of your own life if you say, I am for, let's kill all these people. When 12 people have done, I think 12 or 14 people, all high education, are responsible for 11 million Jews. And think about this. 12 million people have decided 11 million Jews, gays, and whatever need to be killed. Now 200,000, and you say, oh, that doesn't happen now? 200,000 in the war, in the current war. We just make decision, and that's not done by many people. They decided my system needs to be bigger, so I need to fight your system, and you think I need to fight back. It's insanity defined, and to even discuss that, and not being aware that war is the last resort where humans that naturally belong together and inclusive cannot be inclusive.
Right. I was thinking when we were talking about this particular subject, I was thinking about McDonald's.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about how these systems, how they become so corrupt because of the lust for greed and expansion, to where they start to compromise the very core principles that we're supposed to keep when it comes to humanity. And like you were describing, nature has its balance. Corporatocracy doesn't have any balance. Corporatocracy gets compromised by greed and narcissism, because a lot of corporate America, if not all, is very narcissistic because there's no empathy in how they operate within their system. And what I mean by that is that originally, when they show you this in the movie about Ray Kroc, who was the founder of McDonald's, but really what it was two brothers that were cooking these very good hamburgers with fries. And I can only imagine how good those burgers were back in the days. Grass-fed cow, natural burgers, not this processed human meat garbage that we're eating now, this synthetic meat that is completely destructive to the biology of the human anatomy and all of its functions. It creates dis-ease. But besides all that, when you look at the story of Ray Kroc, he saw these brothers, and his narcissistic mind was like, I'm going to franchise this, and I'm going to expand it, and I'm going to make so much money. And he did. But what wound up happening is he took something that was very natural, very good for the people, and then basically turned it into the largest fast food franchise industry in history. To this day, has generated the most revenue ever of any fast food franchise, and basically turned it into this very evil kind of food industry, to where now the food that you eat from McDonald's, all of it is unhealthy on multiple levels. This is not even food that should be for human consumption. But because of this man's greed, and he's long passed away. When did he pass away? Let me see here. He passed away January 14th of 1984 in San Diego, right? So based on him creating this system of McDonald's, now this system is operating internationally in all of the 7 or whatever continents where fast food industry exists. There is a McDonald's. And now you have this big fast food conglomerate that has really corrupted the humanity, in the sense that it's destroying people's lives long term because it's unhealthy food and it creates a multitude of diseases. And I think about how these systems, if they were just to operate with some principles to keep humanity safe from self-destructing, so to speak, it would be a lot better. But because of this greed, like you said, we gotta be in the black in every quarter. We can't take any losses. But nature shows you that sometimes you have to take losses. The scriptures show you that. You know what I mean? Like everything that's spiritual has its ups and downs, but it maintains balance and order every single time. So this thing with systems, we really need to bring awareness to it, because we can't keep having Ray Krocs, because we have a lot of Ray Krocs present day right now with big tech. Big tech, we got a bunch of Ray Krocs in big tech with this whole transhumanism thing, where you know how Elon Musk wants to put a microchip in our heads. it's like what are we doing here? We're gonna put microchips and we're gonna become, you know, Deus Ex. Deus Ex is a video game where it's all about this guy that is half robot and half man, and he's constantly augmenting himself to improve himself.
Yeah, but it's an interesting creativity thought problem. You know, it's to have a man that is half. I mean, it's good to contemplate that. I'm not saying you shouldn't contemplate that. If somebody is injured and you give him a wrong arm, that is fine, because it helps humanity. It doesn't help technology. It helps humanity to be this. So everything, you know, this is the secret of creativity. And we are unaware of that too. We fight that we can do bad and good in the same way. So we can use an atomic bomb to kill or to create power. Everything we create, we can get the good and the bad. What happens is, and I tell you, because you kind of like to focus in on people being bad and satanic and all that stuff. No. That is, we need both choices. Creativity doesn't function when you just have a God, when it's just sunny every day. Even though every system is indoctrinating you, it should be sunny every day. And if it's not, I'm selling you a Ferrari, a pill, a face job, whatever. And then you get the Ferrari, the pill, and the face job, and you say, "So what, Mr. ORRA? What is it? Are you happy?" And he said, "I was happy for a week or so, and now I'm right back where I was, and worse, because now I have experienced the good stuff." And they say, "Oh, we have a Lamborghini, we have another pill, and we have a workout thing we sell you, and you do that too, and then it doesn't work." And you know what system says then? "Sorry, Mr. ORRA, there's inherently something wrong with you, because to our system definition, it should be sunny every day." Right?
Yeah, but we know that that's not true. And that's why I don't like a lot of these videos that sell that they think they make you believe that your life is going to be better once you make a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I talk about this because I've had experiences like that where in corporate America, I've won certain awards, achievements, vacations. I got to go on little trips and excursions around the world. And let me tell you something. It's not all that it's cracked up to be. It's only for a moment. You feel this adrenaline rush and excitement and feels good, but then it goes away. And that's why I say I'd rather be a man of worth than being a man of success, because success is temporary. Success is not a permanent thing. And just like you were talking about in nature, it's like, guess what? The lion is going to kill more gazelles. It's not just the one they ate. You know, tomorrow there's going to be another one, and the next day, and the next day. But there are those that are going to survive, and they're going to keep living. And there's a certain balance. Now, I do talk about the evils of the world, because one of the reasons why I like to expose Satan and all his devices is because a lot of people, like it says in Isaiah chapter 5 in verse 20, where it says they accept the light for the darkness and the darkness for the light. They've accepted the good for the evil and the evil for good. They've accepted the bitter for the sweet and the sweet for the bitter. And it's no different today. They are still doing that. People are still accepting the lie as the truth and the truth as the lie. And my whole thing about awareness is that first, let's understand that we're being lied to. Okay, because once you understand you're being lied to, now you can understand the truth a lot better. You can't just go to the truth, because if you don't think that you're being lied to, then you believe the lie to be true. And anything I tell you that is true won't even make sense to you because you're embracing the lie. That's what this whole network is about.
Yeah,
That's why.
yeah.
That's why you're
I
on
agree
this
with
show.
100% on that level. I agree with you. On other level, you cannot blame anyone for
No,
not being aware.
let me
Once
tell you
you're
this,
not
Michael.
aware, if you are not aware that you're distorted and you're killing 200,000 people, they thought the 15 people thought it was great. It was right to extinguish 11 million people. They thought it was right. Now they are thinking it's correct. They're unaware. That's what I'm saying. They're unaware of what they do. There was smoking in maternity wards, right? That the hysterical woman do shut up and smoke so that it's easier to handle them before they give birth. Then they found out, oh, actually smoking could harm the kid or you or the nurse. And they didn't do, oh, we need to do new laws or whatever. They just stopped it because they became aware. That's what I'm saying. It's the awareness. Everything goes to the right. When you know, so where's a devil in the nature? Where is the thing? That's a mind construct. I'm not saying it's not real, because what we imagine comes true. So the more negative we are, we are master creators. Our thing is creating and manifesting. And when you think about negative, devil, horrible people, but then you project, it is self-extermination, because in the war, both parties are unaware. When you walk on Fifth Avenue and you see a beggar, and some people, you see everybody going on the other side of the street around him. Some people talk to him, some people give him money, but everybody's unaware. The beggar is unaware that he affects all these humans that walk by, and he's unaware. He thinks systemically he is a mistake. So he has so much self-shame, he can't even breathe himself. Trust me, I know. He can't breathe himself out that he is a part of the whole. And that's why I always keep saying we are 8 billion people, all unique. There is no normal person or no normal person that fits in. And the other people that see the beggar and reacting to him know that in the system, they could lose their job, they could lose their position as walking the Fifth Avenue, and they could lose their position, and they could be ending up, and that is exactly correct. Because like I said, we can use everything for the good and for the bad. And in that balance, but we need awareness. Without awareness, we are trying to only be good. We totally deny our those religious naysayers that then they are like angels. They're above all humanity. They are just it's like the kings.
Well, listen, they're full of shit too. Those prosperity preachers, they're all full of shit. They're wicked. They're probably the most wickedest people you ever meet in your life.
The king too. The king is born as a royalty, and because he believes the whole aristocracy is built on, oh, I have a direct wire to God, which is I am better than everybody else. There is no better. That's why we have all these variations of me. There's no better. The system creates, we send those guys to war, and what are we going to do with the woman? Oh, they just stay at home, bear new soldiers, and do the thing. Our gender problem, woman and man, is system created. It's not human created. And behind systems, obviously, are disturbed humans.
Tell me about it.
They are disturbed human, system disturbed human. And I always say, a system, a human problem that was created by system cannot be fixed with a system. It has to be, humans have to come together like we do here, and talk to each other, exchange it, use the second superpower, which is human dialogue, not system dialogue, because system dialogue is I'm right, you are wrong, and I need to manipulate you in a way that you end up being less than, or you try to do me to win over me. It's just human dialogue is an exchange, and that's so we need to be compartmentalizing. There's system and there's humanity, and we are the gods of systems, not the gods. The systems are gods over us. Like a company like Nike, Apple is bigger than us, or a state, another system can just get us and we kill for the state. That if nobody goes to war, some philosopher said this: if nobody goes to war, there is no war. You know, so that's the, and I think it's awareness. Without awareness, and on the other, you always need to think it's not the system that's screwed up. It's what we created, that delusion of that dark mirror in between. On the other side of the systems are people too.
Right. And you know, the church that I belong to, it's called the BOCC. It stands for the Body of Christ Church. And we're not considered Christians or whatever. We celebrate the Sabbath according to Hebrew culture. And one of the things that the church teaches a lot, and it's something that is so important, is repentance. And when you talk about the mirror, it's like if people were to look into their own personal mirrors and see what's wrong with them and understand and be honest with themselves and start correcting their errors, the world would become a better place overnight. Literally.
My question, is there something wrong with them? Or is it just a disturbance? I mean, if I
Either
look
way,
in the mirror,
well, this is the thing. This is the thing. You said that we have a choice, and I agree with you, because when it comes to evil and it comes to Satan and all these demonic things, these things do exist.
Only when we are aware that we have a choice. Aura. Only if we are aware we have a choice.
Okay,
if
but
aware, if there's Satan, yeah, go ahead.
Let me finish what I'm trying to explain to you here is that whether we are aware of the choice or not, to make a decision is a choice. To not make a decision is a choice too. So whether we are unaware, that is a choice. To be unaware. Understand that, because a lot of times, and I truly believe this, I've had people come to me from all different walks of life saying, I need to do this better. There's something innately through nature, through this universe, through the cosmos, through the vibrations and frequencies of consciousness that is always compelling us to do things. I don't care who you are. Even if you're somebody that doesn't even have the mental capacity, people that are considered to be mentally disabled, they have a lot of gift and abilities. Because I have a nephew that has autism, and he's written 3 books before the age of 17 years old. So there's no excuses. Everybody has awareness. It's whether they choose to participate, activate the awareness within that consciousness or not. And this is what I was alluding to, is that you have a lot of people that they'll blame the evil forces for all of the chaos in their life. And a lot of people say, oh, the Illuminati, Satan, this and that. Yeah, these things do exist. But we have a choice, because these forces, these systems are not as powerful as people believe them to be. The fact that they even speak of them in that light gives them power, because in actuality, the only reason they even have power is because of our lack of awareness, and also our lack to look at ourselves to create the change that we want to see within the world. So what I mean is that Satan doesn't have any real power. He just sets the stage for you to create your own demise, for you to create your own self-destruction. He's not making you destroy yourself. He's setting the stage and giving you the choices of temptations for you to choose to destroy yourself. See, that's the big That's the big lies, that people think that these forces are controlling them, but they're not. These forces are just giving them the choice to do something wrong for themselves, and they're choosing to do it. And that's what leads them down that dark path. Then there's other people who are in that state of repentance that are saying, you know what? This is a lot of bullshit. And I understand that I'm not the man or woman that I need to be, and I have to create the change that I want to see in the world. I have to become that example. And it's those people that are bringing awareness to the rest of the world through their example of life, the way they live their life. Because somebody who's down and out and thinks that everything has gone to shit for themselves, and it's like, oh, woe is me, that woe is me mentality. They see somebody who's doing great things. And I remember listening on the Joe Rogan show when they talked about the hater. They said the hater is unrealized potential. This was his friend Red Band. He said this years ago when Joe Rogan was podcasting on his couch in his house. The hater is unrealized potential. And what does that mean? That means that the person who's jealous, envious of you, or talks shit about you and all these other things, it comes from a deep sense of insecurity, because they're not seeing the very beauty and the power and creativity that you're manifesting, that you're bringing together through the grace of that great creator that you are, that works through you. You are the vessel of that creation. They can't see that within themselves. And that in itself, that lack of awareness in them, themselves creates that hate, creates that malevolent force, creates that energy that vibrates at a very low level. And then they become an example of everything that is of lower nature, everything that is opposite, everything is the reciprocal of the beauty of creation and natural order. That's what I'm saying. So
you're not wrong in any word that you said. I'm saying there's another level. I'm only saying there's another level. You see it from that level, and that level I cannot say, okay, or it's completely wrong. There's another level, because what I'm saying is, first of all, your church is a system. So it's not, I'm not putting it down or anything, but be aware that it cannot tend to every unique human being that you have. You have to.
Oh yeah, and they're well aware of that. They're well aware that we can only do what we can do. Absolutely, exactly. I agree.
And then the other thing is, when you are not, when you're not aware. See, you say choice like, I know I could have, I know this is Satan, but I want to be famous. That's a very good example. You say, okay, I would do everything, and a lot of people say that I would give my life if I get
sell
this.
my soul. Yeah,
exactly.
And there's people that do that.
So they say that because they are so unconscious that the physicalness, to be here, is the wonder. The wonder, you are selected. There were, to be on this planet, to experience not war and destruction, but to experience and have your eyes look at the paradise on earth, to see this heaven on earth. And with 8 billion other people, you are inclusive, and you will see, when you separate yourself out of it or put yourself in a class, but see everything, see the rich, the poor as a reflection, and just observe. You don't have to be Elon Musk. Elon Musk says one thing, and a lot of people are not aware because everybody wants to go in leadership. Elon Musk says the financial game of monopoly that all the humans chose to play in the Western world. In that game, he is the chess master. Jeff Bezos, but it doesn't say anything else. It just says that guy can play Monopoly like nobody else. He is the one, in the most secure prison, he's the one that can escape. And that is, it shows us our potential. It doesn't show anything for him. It shows our potential, that even in a system we are limitless, we can be like a thing. That's all. I don't want to be Elon Musk because I don't know how fulfilled he is. He goes through
Right.
I mean, why do you have billionaires that off themselves? Why do you have people that are rich and have everything and say, I can't believe this guy killed himself?
Right.
Because we chase fulfillment, which is the human success. Fulfillment is that feeling after an orgasm that the world is okay, you're okay. We don't, success is hitting the goal, surpassing the goal, getting the awards. That is success. It's a system definition. And just in that definition, to clarify the definition, system definition is success. Human definition is fulfillment. And the fulfillment, the system sells you fulfillment. It gives you the Ferrari and you feel great. The world is okay when you sit and drive off and say it's mine. But sooner or later, the Ferrari becomes a Toyota. You know, it's because every day you're going the same. It has no difference. There's no difference. You can keep your ego.
I like that analogy, by the way.
Right? Right? And you're putting yourself in, oh, it's a Ferrari, and your ego cannot even pump it up anymore because it's just a Ferrari. And once the Ferrari is 5 years old and you drive it every day, it's nothing other than a car.
Right.
And it doesn't fulfill you, you know, because you must, in order to appreciate the Ferrari, you must have a Toyota and constantly shift. So you constantly experience the difference between an old jalopy and the Ferrari. That's the only way you can actually get to the consciousness. I prefer that. But sometimes there's no, what I want to also say with this, there's no, people, once I know this, I can deal with it. And that's why awareness is so great, because you don't need steps. And once you know, it's just, your parents say, go ahead, never touch the hot stove, never do. They give you a lecture. They can give you a book on burning yourself. If you burn yourself once on that stove, you know for the rest of your life, you don't need a manual. You don't need to learn anything. You don't need your parents to tell you. You know not to touch a hot stove.
Right.
And that's what I'm saying. It's just
there's no better teacher than human experience.
Exactly. Experiential knowledge, not mind constructs. You know, and Satan and all this other stuff is a mind construct. Where is it in nature? If there's also all powerful, it would be in nature. It is not in nature. So it's a mind construct, but it's dangerous, because danger is when I am in future or past and not in a now, like I'm with you now, and I'm milking that moment, then I'm going to go and say, oh, I must pay the bills. Oh, my buddy, I need to meet him there. My girlfriend, whatever. You're not in a moment. You're not, because you say, why am I thinking about my paying the bills? I pull myself away from this thing and say, this is more about, and that's fear driven, because I'm not looking forward to pay the bills. It's fear. I'm pulling myself constantly in a mind construct and allow the fear. And see, this is where the unnatural fear comes. If I don't pay the bills, I get this. It's what systems say. If you don't do this, you get punished. And in that punishment, you never feel good, because the system is always built on a lack. Needs more, it needs more, and more. Scarcity. And we have no idea that we create that. We created that, and now it took over generation. It just took over, because we're not in nature. We are born in a hospital. We're baptized, another system. We go to school, another system. We go to college, and we go to get a job, another system. So how often have you heard when they say, I'm more in my company than with my family? That's unnatural. That is completely unnatural, that your habitat is all of a sudden a system, and you lose the connection to the loved ones that you have, or to the nature that you have, or your pet that you have, which is a human thing. Having a pet, having a family, having friends, hanging out. and now you go in an artificial environment and you exist more in an artificial environment that has its agendas, its culture. So you lose that you're human. You're not fitting. When you make a research and ask the people, do you feel like you're a part of nature or a part of system? They say neither, because every human knows we're not born in system. We're not, born from system. System didn't give us life, but they also don't feel themselves there as a species of nature. I've never, other than me, I've never heard, oh, we are just another species of nature with a superpower of creativity and a brain that can think, but we cannot see as good as an eagle. We cannot swim as good as a dolphin. So we are just another species that has a certain thing. We're not special. We just have, we have creativity is our thing. It's like an ant builds an anthill. The elephant cannot build an anthill. And the ant thinks, oh, I'm better because I can be the bullshit. They can just do something different. So we are, and we don't see us in this light. And that's why we are not humble. We have this, what is it called in psychology? No, shiny that creates it. The shiny object. When we create New York, right? That's human created. Wow, we did that. Or we did this Tesla or whatever. And then the ego comes in and says, we must be better than God. We must be better than, and we don't see ourselves as the whole. We see ourselves as individual. And
separate from the whole.
Yeah, and the system a definition says the beggar on Fifth Avenue isn't worth anything. That's why he believes that. And that's a compartmentalizing too. In system, there's system relevant value. In humanity, in nature, you are worthy because you exist. Nature doesn't make a mistake, or God, or whatever you believe in. You would not be alive, because if in nature a three-legged deer is born, it has purpose. It's worthy, even if the worth is just that it's eaten by the lion. But it might not be, and so because in other species like humans take that deer in, and it becomes a pet. So in nature you're worthy because you exist. So there's never a question: am I good enough? That only happens in system dynamics. And we have forgotten that over three or four generations. We have forgotten it, because it's 4 generations, about 4 or 5 generations. Their systems they have really taken over.
Yeah, and like you said, we're in the scarcity mindset all the time. The systems are designed to keep us that way. A lot of these man-made systems, it's all about problem, reaction, solution. And we saw that with the pandemic. We saw a problem, people reacted, and all of these bullshit solutions came into place. And people said, okay, give me it. Now, I'm not going to go too much into that, because, if we do YouTube,
everybody knows anyway. Everybody knows.
Yeah, everybody knows, but YouTube would shut it down. Why? Because now you have these virtual governments that haven't even put themselves in a position to actually have authority, but because they have these systems in place, like social media, like big tech, like these internet systems that are in place, now they get to determine what you can or can't say. And the more truthful you are, the less they want you speaking. That's why networks like mine don't get the same notoriety as other networks that promote the agenda. And a lot of times they don't even have to promote their agenda. They just have to promote something that doesn't allow people critical thinking. Like a kid or a young person, or even a person my age, will put out content that makes no sense, like spinning water bottles, making fart noises, eating a bunch of eggs, or making all these weird sounds, or the young girls that are shaking their butts in yoga pants, and they got millions of followers. They like that type of stuff. But when you start presenting information that goes against their systems, because you're making people aware, like, hey, this system is bullshit. This system makes no sense. This system is not really what you think it is. It's only to benefit these small groups of people. All of a sudden, you get shot down. So they want people that are gonna be what we call, because I grew up in the Bronx in New York City, and in New York, in the 5 boroughs, anybody that would like copy somebody else all the time or want to be like somebody else, we call them dick riders, And what you have is you have a lot of these dick riders running around here, not really being contributors to creation, but being more contributors to somebody else's system that they created to benefit them. And it's a big shit show in its entirety. But that's why I do what I do, because I'm not the type of person to be like, woe is me because of these systems. I'm like, you know what? You got your systems. Well, I have systems too that can combat those systems to bring about more awareness. But besides that, I'm going to let people know, forget about the systems. Look from within.
Yes,
that's why at the end of my show,
that's the answer. Forget about systems and focus on humans. Yeah.
That's why at the end of my show, I always say, don't look for the light at the end of the tunnel. Why? Because that light at the end of the tunnel is the system that you're looking for the remedy to whatever it is you're going through. And I say, don't look for the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
Don't look for the light at the end of the tunnel. Look at the light within. The light is already in you.
Yeah, it's right now here. It's here. The light is here. Don't look for future. That's a mind construct. Every time you look about what is happening in the future, I get rewarded. I get this. I get that.
Right.
It's always a mind construct, because nobody knows what in 1 minute happened. Nobody knew about the COVID. Nobody knows anything. And we need to stop thinking we know things. The first thing I told on your show, I don't know anything. I'm just working out of the moment, what we can create in the moment. And when I observe what you're saying, you're 100% right. But you look at just one thing that needs to be changed: our financial principles, because you are not getting shown, not because they say ORRA is dangerous. You're not getting shown because you are a threat to their financial bottom line. And
I'm not profitable. I'm not profitable. Yeah, I've been told that.
No, and also you put it in question their profitability. So what I'm saying is, be aware of that. I'm not attacking a single system. I'm not pointing out this is the company that's horrible. I never mention a name, because I know about the unawareness. The worse the company is, the more unawareness are the humans that run it, because without humans, that company cannot exist. The worst company that you're focusing on, it's easy to focus on them, is only worth as much as the humans they have. And even if the humans are totally disturbed, they're not bad, they're disturbed. What is greed? Greed is knowing the wisdom that success is not just replicable. System success, you can talk to all system guys, and they will say a different thing why they got successful. You can go to Elon Musk and you can copy one for one his success path. You can go to Jeff Bezos, and it is a lie. They tell you, but they are not aware that everything has to fit, that in a system you are successful. As a human, you can easily successful. You just be you. But in a system, you cannot be successful, because there is no formula. If there was a formula, I tell you what is system successful: a cell phone. A cell phone the whole world has. So if you do something for humans, like communication, help communicate to each other, help inclusivity, like a cell phone, that will spread all over the world, because it helps humanity to talk to each other. And we all have the drive to see it. But if you tell people, oh, you got to do a new superstore or this, they're all different, and they're all, for some reason, everything fit, and that's why it worked. Because people said, there's a shoe company that after Nike, I mean, they did it like 5 years ago. They started a shoe company and make billions of dollars. And they said, there's no way you could. And you know how many people wanted to be a shoe company of Nike? But this one did with recycled shoes because it helps humanity. It helps the human condition. It lifts our human potential. It's not making the systems more static and more irrelevant. No, it helps the humanity. And you never heard about that shoe company. That's the whole thing. I don't know what it's called, but they did recycled shoes with recycled stuff, and they're $18 billion company.
Oh wow!
And nobody would know. Everybody told them, bullshit. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. You cannot compete with Adidas, Nike, with all these brands. So there is no formula. If there was a formula, that shoe company would never have made it.
Right.
Because a basketball shoe has 100 parts to it, and this has 5 parts to it. It's an athletic shoe. So what I'm saying is there is no formula for success, but if we pretend there is, we're just copying the system shit. The system, we just copy. Oh, you got to be hard as a leader. You got to put your team down. It doesn't even work.
Yeah, let's switch gears a little bit here.
Do whatever you want. You're the boss.
Let's talk about your creative voice. Let the audience know about your creative voice and what that means.
So in 2015, I created a movement in Laguna Beach that's called the Self-Aware Artist. And why I created that is because before I was already contemplating why 97 to 99% of world were artists on the poverty level. And then I looked very systemic through this, and I said, what are you selling? And I asked established artists as well as non-established artists, and they all said they started around. I think I had one person that really could verbalize what he does and what his voice is and why he's unique. Nobody could. Because art is all the system jargon is artists in the eyes of the beholder and all that bullshit. And some people don't even write a title on the painting, which I think is just that you show you have no clue what you're doing. Because if I can give I did a book, I did 300 paintings in 3 days, and I found a title right away for every painting. Perhaps there was 2 or 3 that I couldn't find a title. So it comes out of you. You can title it. You can verbalize. You bring that into the physical, not just by the shape. So I was looking, and the people couldn't. And so I started this art education class where you find your creative voice, which is actually branding. It's like it's branding your own expansion, not branding what is in the system. We are better, cheaper, smarter, whatever. It's about what is that you create. And so I had all these artists together, and they were talking to each other and seeing when I say, okay, I use red for love, and the people said, no, the red in you is more the hell. It's not love, So I wanted to have other people's feedback when you express your art, that it is genuine, because we have 6 senses. We feel each other out. It's like you and I, we adapt to have that dialogue. We don't need to have 5 steps. We don't need to read books. We just adapt. That's inherent in us. And we're losing this by existing through systems. So my voice, so I found that. And so I made a document that we can attach to your show if you feel like it, with questions, like 50 questions, how to find closer of your essence. Because basically you bring your essence into the physical, and it makes it easier for everybody else when you have it verbalized. So with me, having seen this podcast, you know, I'm fiery. I'm not afraid of contrast. I use colors or musical instrument. I did a Chinese Scottish song. I love to get a dissonance and play in that opposite direction. I want to, when you go in a room, I want you to look at my painting first and then in the interior design. And not because of attention. I want to just grab you. I want to just seduce you with my colors and with my to just wake up. It's more than waking up. I want you to be aware. Be aware you're right now in this room and you're standing in front of my painting. I want you to be aware of that. And I look at powerful colors that uplift you. I don't like to be looking at art that drags you down. So
By
it's
the way,
basically my personality. You're right. Yeah.
Let's talk about your 30-second podcast. Let the people know, because I put it in the description box of this episode. So people have it. They have it. It's called The Smart of Art. It's a 30-second podcast. So I think everybody should go listen to it because it's just 30 seconds. Not going to take a lot of time out of your day. And I have it in the description box. I'll make sure I put it in the hashtag too as pound the smart art, the smart of art. So the Smart of Art podcast, let the listeners know what that is and how and why you came up with that podcast and what's your message?
Yeah. I wrote my last book. It's called The Smart of Art. And then I thought I didn't have any sales. And I don't have more sales now, but I was thinking all the artists that I know don't want to read. So that's why I tell all the artists that buy the Kindle version, because you have it read to you in the language you need it, And then the other thing is, I really upset that there's no mentoring anymore. In the arts was that the old artist mentor. I love mentoring, not as I know better, but as an interaction where actually the mentor learns more than the mentee. So, and I did that 30 seconds because nobody has time. So you listen to a wisdom quote, awareness quote, a wisdom quote, and a question that you answer for yourself. There's no right or wrong. And the instructions are on the podcast. You just listen to it once and let it percolate. Like I'm a seeder. We talked about that before. So when you listen to the wisdom, let it, you can say, oh, that makes no sense, discard it. But if it makes sense, just read it, listen to it, and then listen to the question and try to answer it for yourself. It takes you not more than a minute, the whole process. And I thought a minute is not to take too much from people to taste it. And if you like it and if it helps you going through it, doesn't cost anything, then you can buy my book that gives it more detail, that explains it more, or you can talk to me or whatever. So it's not a sales funnel. It's more a tasting funnel,
And by the way, to connect with Michael, I have it in the description box as well on the YouTube, all across the platforms that you'll be hearing this podcast on once it finishes broadcasting off of Spreaker. It's Michael L. M as in Mary.com. Okay, so that's Michael. So we'll spell it out because I know some people spell Michael differently. MichaelLM.com. Now, let's talk about some of these things.
I love you. I see your all your gears going, because I know a lot is going on in you. I just see you. Let me ask you what's going on. I love that. I love it because you're here. You're not somebody else.
I'm always present. One of the quotes that came to me, like some people say they downloaded from the universe. I feel like the Most High gave this to me and I said it in a conversation. When I said it, everybody was like, "What did you just say?" And I was like, yeah, what the hell did I just say? So I had to repeat it in my head, and I wrote it down so I wouldn't forget it. And it's one of my quotes. And it's, when you live in the present, there's always an opportunity for a new beginning.
Yeah.
So my thing is always to be present, especially when dealing with people. That's a gift that I've been given. It's something that comes natural to me, but I work on it. Even though it may come natural, I still work on things that come natural to me because I want to be better at it.
Yeah.
I think that the human potential is limitless.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people
100%.
become complacent with their gifts, that
Yeah.
they think, oh, I'm really good at this, so I don't got to do nothing. It's just like I'm good and I just do it. No, you got to work at it. Just
Yeah.
like with my podcasting, as good as I may be at my podcast, there's always room for improvement. And I'm always looking for that room. That's why I'm always looking for correction, because I know I'm not right all the time. I know I make mistakes. I'm not perfect.
Who is right? Who is right? 8
Exactly.
billion people. And you want to tell me there's a right and wrong? No, there isn't. We are 8 billion people. Everybody has a different view on life,
So let me ask you this, because this is one of the questions that you have here. Why do you feel so good when we do something? Why do we feel so good when we do something creative and artistic?
Because we're in the moment. Exactly. It's beautiful. You just explained it. When you are in the moment, you connect with your, because when you create anything, you cannot think, oh my God, I have to pay bills or whatever. You have a conversation. Even when you create this podcast, you have an inspiration that comes from your non-physical to do a podcast, because not everyone wants to do a podcast. You have an inspiration to create a customer service business. You have an inspiration to create a restaurant, and you cannot be in that wire when you're in the future or in the past. When you think in a mind construct while we talking, that doesn't work. I couldn't think, oh, what am I asking you next? It just comes. All of a sudden the question comes, and I ask you the question. So you have to be in the moment when you create. And that's why you have the most neurodiverse people, or the most PTSD and all these ADHD, all these people in the arts. They get drawn to the arts not because they like to be creative. They feel good when they create. It gets them from all this shock and all this distortion back into alignment. When you're in the moment, you are aligned. When you right now, right here with you, I'm right now with you, and I have something which comes with practice, where I also unconsciously watch you and me. But I have to still focus right now on me. I cannot think about the third person, but it is watching. So when we are in the moment and creating, not only, I have said, is the art creation shows you the blueprint in the symphonic orchestra of what is possible for humans, that we can be all harmonious. There's no black sheeps. There's no thing that doesn't function. And also it brings you in a moment. So it's a superpower. It's the number one why we are humans. Imagine we are a species of nature, and our creativity would be taken away. We would be as creative as any other animal. There would not be a cities, nothing. So this is just a different way of us creating our anthills, of us creating stuff, and we need to be aware of that. But the art creation has so much more, because we always see the system focus on the product. What everybody wants, if everybody wants to create, to buy your bicycle, then you have successful bicycle family. If everybody wants to buy the artwork, the song, then you are hailed in the system as an artist. If everybody likes your podcast, you will be the best podcast. But tomorrow, if you say anything on your podcast, they say, oh, the worst podcaster. But nobody can take away, and this is the value for you, the human that creates. nobody can take away that you created it from an inspiration, from a non-physical. You brought it in the physical, and that is for every business. You brought in, and you had an inspiration, and you brought that and manifested that business. Doesn't matter how good or bad it is. See, and nobody looks at this. This is how little we think about it. How many people create a business, never create a business? They just say, I'm going to get a job and that's it. There's nothing wrong with it. But you create a business or create a podcast, and you don't think there's anything special about it. You're focusing on how many likes you get, how much expansion you get, how many people respond to it. It has nothing to do with your podcast. Zero.
Right.
It has nothing to do with your business. What has something to do is that you brought something from a thought and you manifested into the physical. You brought a thought. When you talk or when I write books, I don't know, I looked at a tax. On 5 books, I made $60. I don't care. You got to write 6 books, 5 books on art. I created those books. That is the value. It's not how many I sell. What is if I die? Like with art, what is if you die and then you get famous? I cannot do with it. So I cannot say, okay, perhaps I'm going to give it. No, I created it, because without creating, I can't be famous in the next life.
Right. Right.
When I die. So it's completely worthless that you are good or bad in a system. That's just system relevance. It is, you created it. That's the power, and nobody sees it. That's why I say the smart of art is look at the creation.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I was going to mention that about, your book, regardless of whatever sales it makes, maybe 60 years from now, that book is going to be world renowned to where everybody is talking about. It's a must read, right?
Yeah.
Also, too, in regards to what you were saying about what people do, like even with my podcast, when I first started out, I started out with the intentions, like, I'm not doing this for people. I'm doing this for the creator. I'm doing this for the Most High that gave me the ability to have the ability to do this in the first place. I'm giving back the gift that's been given to me. So there's nothing to expect in return, because I've gotten the blessing already. And that's a big awakening that I came to.
And you're not suffering. You're not suffering, right?
Right.
Sorry, I interrupted you. You're fulfilled. You might not be successful, but it is freaking fun to do this with you. You know what I mean? You and I don't get a check for $1 million after this show, but you and I are humanly fulfilled. And that's the juice. That's the juice. That's what systems tell you.
And see, the thing is with success too, and I talk about this in my episode called A Man of Worth instead of A Man of Success, is that success is really based on perception, because I think I'm a very successful podcaster. If I didn't talk, matter of fact, the fact that I'm on the low end of the totem pole on YouTube, as far as algorithms and people being aware that my show exists, lets me know how successful I am, because that means that I'm doing something that's so powerful that the powers that shouldn't be don't want to put it up there with the rest of everybody else that they put up there. They can't put me up there with a girl who shakes her butt for a living. Okay, they can't do that. So I'm not profitable to YouTube. YouTube looks at me as a hindrance, not as somebody who's going to help them to grow. Because what I would do is help people to think like, why am I watching these videos in the first place? I need to stop doing that and start focusing on me. That's what they would get from this show. So they don't want that. And I'm okay with that, because I'm not a narcissist. Like my friend Take One says, I'm a narc assassin. I assassinate narcs. You know what I mean? I expose them for what they are, because what I do is I let people know, like, you don't need validation from the world. The only validation you need is that spiritual light within that already gave you the validation to be whatever it is you want to be, to do what it is that you were born to do purposefully. And I'm going to continue to do that. I don't look for validation. And right now, like, right now on Podmatch, I'm ranked number 3 in the world on the global rankings. Great, wonderful. But you know what?
Doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything.
It doesn't mean anything. It's good to know, though. I'm not going to lie to you.
No,
It feels good to know that I
feels good,
have
of
these
course.
temporary success. Like I embrace the success in my mind as a perception of thought to say, I perceive that to be a good thing, but I don't hold on to it. I'm not, it doesn't make me the man that I am. It just lets me know that other people see that, and that's great, but I'm not looking for their validation. I'm already fulfilled, because let me tell you something. Last year, I had people telling me that I should go kill myself. I had people telling me to stop doing my podcast. I'm talking about some real hate, some genuine hate that I realized came from their own insecurities. These are people that I helped. You know what I mean? And some of them, they were just pieces of shit. And I'm just like, hey, it sucks to be you. You know, it sucks to be you.
They are just unconscious. They're unconscious. They're not worth. You're not better because you're conscious. You're just being more human-like, and they are more system-like. And
exactly.
And I think,
and they lack, their system is lacking, though. They lack self-awareness, because it's easy. Listen, it's easy to point the finger at somebody. It's easy to judge. The scriptures talks about this a lot, especially in the book of Matthew. It's like, it's always easy to point the finger at somebody. But you know what? Like they say in grade school, when you point the finger at somebody, what do you have? You have 3 fingers.
And
you have 3 fingers pointing right back at you, which really, you're just showing yourself for who you really are. And the only person you're really hurting is yourself. So those people that were demonizing me and sowing discord, they hurt themselves in the process. What they
can't
once
handle
had,
your light. They cannot handle your light. That's what it is.
What they once had before they started doing this to me is no longer there now after they did what they did to me, because they brought their own, they cursed themselves. You can only curse yourself with your own tongue. You know, the scriptures talks about it a lot.
Fighting something doesn't matter. Fighting doesn't help. It makes the whole problem bigger. And the thing is, with success is the only one thing. See, this is something when people don't know the system versus the humans. Success, when obviously we all feel good when we have viewers, when we get accolades, when we get whatever. But look how many people can get an Oscar. Very few people can be #1 on Podmatch. Very few people can do that. It just shows you, it's another confirmation that what you chose is so strong that you chose your thing, that even in systems it can, but it can't be reversed. The reversed, if the system says you should be #1 and you feel like shit, you feel like you're the worst podcaster, it doesn't matter if you're #1. Look at how many people kill themselves after getting an Olympic medal. You know, it's just because you win it. But on the other side, if you hang out on the human side, it shows you I'm so much in my human that even the system has to follow me. And that is a possibility. On the other side around, because I can give you all the accolades, consider you the greatest podcaster. If you don't believe it, it doesn't help. So the system can say, "Or you're the greatest," it doesn't help. But on the other side, when you create something and it's also successful in system, it's not dependent on, it's also, you are also successful in the system. You're successful human, and also, which means you're very dialed in, because not even the system could hold you back. You're very dialed in. And there's a difference, you know, there's a difference if you just get a system accolade, because then, I mean, if you get just money and you kill yourself, you're system relevant, you have the money, and you kill yourself. So you need to be always on the human side, always, because even if you have system problem, your human side, when you clear it up on the human side, the system problems go away.
I agree. I'm sorry if you hear my dog barking. That means somebody must be walking by.
Sorry, I like dogs.
I got a big dog, so he's got a pretty big bark. So we've been on for an hour and a half, so I want to wrap things up pretty soon, but I still want to continue this conversation a little bit further. So I want you to talk about why do you feel political correctness is not necessary in the arts? Now, I know we covered a lot of it already, but if you could let the listeners know why political correctness, because I talked about this whole virtual government, how governments are really unnecessary. But can you explain to the listeners why political correctness is so unnecessary in the arts?
Okay. Any system, I said that before, any system that creates a human problem, which racism, genderism, every human problem that was created by a system cannot be fixed by a system. It needs to be fixed by humans, by you, me, saying, "Oh my God, we are different races, and we shouldn't even talk to each other." You know what I mean? Or if I was a different gender or something. So we are the examples, and people understand that. Show me where different races don't like in your friends. When you have friends, and there's different races in those friends, you don't give a shit about political correctness. You just be another human that looks different. Who cares?
Right.
It's system created. You cannot have. So we are all buddies, right? And hang out, all different races, different genders, different sexuality, right? And then we go into the system. We go into a work job. And then we are forced to be conscious that you don't say anything. And even if you are the worst racist, you have to act. This is the act. We are beings. We are not actors. We are human beings, not human actors. We cannot systemically make people equal. The same thing with gender. You cannot make, because the system divided us in man and woman. Where does that matter in nature? Nature is just for procreation, but nobody can. Oh, there's a woman. I should hang only out with male, animals or whatever. No, it doesn't exist. So they created that, and they should have never asked the equality. But by birth, like we are all worthy, every living being on this planet, every virus, every bacteria, everything that nature creates is perfect. Because nature doesn't make mistakes. It is longer before living beings were here, and it will be longer after. Look at Chernobyl. Look at all the Mayan cities that were grown over. So there's nature that's perfect, and that we are equal because we are all worthy, because we exist. We are not different. The ant is not different than the elephant. Only in the system, Elon Musk is different, because system works on financial principle, and there's value. So, do you think there would be even political correctness if that would not threaten the systems? Systems have to do something to create equality, because they created inequality. Nobody created, humans didn't create inequality. Humans just propagated after 3 generations of racists. You just take it in your DNA and become a racist too. But it is system created. And systems, we need to be aware that you cannot fix a human problem through a system. We are 8 billion different people. Nobody's normal. You cannot put it all in a box and say, oh, they're all the same. Then we would have the same DNA. If that was true, let's go for that. We can put them all in the system. But that is not true, because everybody is different. It's just what works for me. That's why saying generalization of all get the same vaccine, all get the same medicine, all can only this medicine, not that medicine. It's all insane. In the whole, in combining holistic Western and Eastern medicine, we can create a human potential where people say, oh, for this condition, I would do this. For that, I would do that. And you combine them. I mean, there's a lot of people with chiropractors that help them. Before, it was like, don't even go. Now insurance pay for the chiropractor, right? Acupuncture was completely thing. It's like smoking in a hospital. The systems are always limited. Their knowledge is limited. Knowledge is nothing. It changes constantly. It's just, oh, the world is flat. Oh, sorry, the world is round. What the So, and we're not seeing that because we are hanging out in systems all day. From birth, we hang out. So political correctness in art is dangerous because art is something, has its own dynamic. When you create art, art doesn't ask you to get listeners, followers. All art asks is it wants to be brought in, created, and exposed. If you expose it to your little daughter, it's fine. That's all art wants. Art doesn't say, oh, you're an artist, you're famous, you have money. Yeah, which obviously it's obvious. 97 to 99% of artists are poor. That's how far we are removed through systems of appreciating this godly form of creation. Because it's godly already when you create an iPhone. But when you create art out of nothing, it has no purpose. You just create for creation's sake. Or you make music, sound. And it's only for no system purpose, but human purpose. Because when you hear that music in 10 years, in 100 years, like classical music, it still transforms you. That's a power. Now we're talking power. Not with the system. Oh, I made $1 million. That is not power. You influence people. You help people to feel enlightened with a song, with a painting. That's power.
Well said. Well said. So let's wrap things up on this broadcast, and I want you to take as much time as you want and give your final statement or comments, or just your final words for this particular show called Awareness Trumps Everything.
You know why I contacted you? Because of the name awareness. I didn't know anything about you, but I was like, oh my God.
Yes.
He says what I preach, Yeah. Awareness trumps all. And it is not about good, bad, right, wrong. It's about awareness, because once you are aware, and I invite all the listeners to keep listening to this episode, because that's all you need. You have all the 6 senses in your brain, in your body. And it's not just in the brain, it's your whole body, where you feel this resonates with you or this doesn't. Discard what doesn't resonate with you and take the one. Even if it's unaware, even if you find out later that was right, just let the stuff in that resonates with you. And don't judge it as good, right, wrong. Michael is the greatest, ORRA is the greatest, or they're both idiots. Just take the information. There's 2 humans that talk with each other, and we changed our brains. ORRA and I changed our brains by this discussion, and we can't even not change it, even if you wanted to not change it. And everybody that listens gets also these benefits. Just listen to it and allow it to percolate. If it doesn't resonate, turn it off. But if it resonates, listen again, because awareness, you don't need to learn anything. You don't need to do it. You just experiential experience is awareness. That's where awareness comes from. You experience it, but you can also experience it through listening. You don't have to, like if I say, oh, don't have to neurodiverse to understand systems. You can relate. This is another human strength that we have. We can relate to each other, and relate to each other from a human aspect, not from a system aspect. Oh, I'm so screwed up because I have to pay taxes again or whatever. No, just from a human aspect, relate to each other. Not put yourself into groups and say, I hate paying taxes, or I hate them, I hate this, I hate that. Just be aware and always look at nature. How much hate is in nature? How much fear is in nature? Why is there no fear? Why is there no Satan? Because They don't need to create a Satan. We need to create a Satan for some reason. And that's why it's not real, but we created it. We are a master creator. So don't give it more juice. Just focus on what is going on in nature. We don't need to be making systems stronger so they can survive on the backs of humans. Without humans, there is no system. They are not relevant. If there were no systems tomorrow, humans could survive. It would be harder, but we could survive. And that's why I said we need to have priority. Thank you, ORRA, for that beautiful discussion.
Well, you're very welcome, Michael, and thank you for coming on to the show and sharing some of your insight and the wisdom that you've gained through your experiences to help you, on your journey towards understanding more and more your self-awareness and overall awareness of this thing we call life and what we're experiencing here based on our perceptions of it. I think you gave a great presentation. You were very present. And for the people that are listening to the live broadcast and those that are going to be downloading the show, moreover, is that awareness does trump everything. To be aware, awareness is everything. To be aware is to be prepared for what you're experiencing and to understand it better. So with that being said, make sure you go to Michael's website, which is michaellmsandmary.com, and check out his information. He's written 4 books that you can get either audibly, or you can get them. Oh, you wrote 5 books. My apologies. So he's written 5 books that you can read if you'd like to read, which we know most people don't. So he has them in Audible too. So you can listen to these.
Kindle does the same thing.
Kindle, Kindle
it
gives
reads
you the narration, right?
Yeah, actually, Kindle is better because it gives you in the language that you want. So if you're Japanese, you can listen to my book in Japanese.
So that's what I mean. Like you can listen to it audibly on Kindle in multiple different languages of your likings. So check them out on Kindle. I'm going to have the links, like I already do, in the description box for you to get this information. You can go directly to his website if you want to learn more about his works and on his perceptions on artistry and creativity. So with that being said, brothers and sisters, I want to thank everybody who tuned in to the Network of Awareness live broadcasts on Spreaker, YouTube, and on my Facebook podcast page. Okay. And I also have my Facebook page, which is under my legal name. So if you check me out on there, thank you. I've seen some of you viewed. If not, download the show. All right. That's how we grow, by downloading the show. Leave a review, preferably on Apple. And like I always say, when you live in the present, there's always an opportunity for a new beginning. And don't look for the light at the end of the tunnel, because the light is and always will be within you. So light up the tunnel and find your way through the darkness. This is all the information, saying peace, love, and light. And we're going to actually end off with a song by Brother Take and Brother Aim. It's called Higher Learning. Okay. And I'm going to end off with that song. I think it's more appropriate to end with that song for this particular broadcast on Faith Over Fear Friday. This is episode 77 of season 5, called Awareness Trumps Everything, with Michael Magrutsche. And peace, love, and light, brothers and sisters. All praises to the Most High. Barakatah and Shalom.
Thank you.